Grab your beverages and turn up your interweb. Solving the world's problems 12 ounces at a time. It's Dudes and Beer. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 218 of the Dudes and Beer podcast. I am Chris Jordan, your host. Before we get started this evening, the Dudes and Beer podcast is now officially brought to you by Amazon's Audible. If you are a fan of reading like I am, and just don't have time to turn the leaf anymore, don't have time to sit back and enjoy the written page, Amazon Audible is what you need, everybody. Hop on to audibletrial.com/dudes and get your 30-day free trial of Amazon's Audible. You'll also be able to get a couple of free downloads whenever you join. If you don't like the book, you can return a book. It's great. It's fantastic. Go check it out. audibletrial.com/dudes is the website that you want to visit to get that free 30-day trial. Our guest tonight is Richard Spasoff. Richard Spasoff is so many things. He is a guest. He is the author of the book We're So Loved and the host of the Richard Spasoff Show here on the HC Universal Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Richard, how are you?
Hey, I'm pretty good, and I could use a anisette right now.
Oh, yeah? Well, have yourself an anisette, my friend.
There we go. Okay, then let me just drive in my car I don't have and go to Ocean's 11, and we'll have a drink.
There you go. Hey. There you go. Well, Richard, thank you so much for coming on tonight. The reason I had you on is to discuss some of the things that you talk about in your book, We're So Loved, specifically the idea of the power of positive thinking. The world has become such a negative place. We've become so self-involved. The word that I kept thinking about whenever we were talking about this episode was empathy, and the idea of empathy versus sympathy. And we have so much sympathy in the world, but we have lost the concept of empathy. And let me give you these definitions, folks. Empathy is the ability to experience the feelings of another person, and it goes beyond sympathy, which is caring and understanding for the suffering of others. Both words are used similarly and often interchangeably, but differ subtly in their emotional meaning. And if you dig into that, the experience, the ability to experience the feeling of another person, that requires effort. That requires a conscious decision. You don't really have to make a conscious decision to feel sorry for somebody, to understand a situation. But you have to make a conscious decision to try and feel the way that somebody feels. And
allowing yourself to be open to their emotions, to their viewpoint.
Yeah, precisely. And, I think that's what our society is lacking so much of nowadays. As a comedian, I know we've discussed before the concept of sarcasm, and how it's there, it's easy, it's the low-hanging fruit of comedy. It literally, it gets you drunk fast, but the results afterward are really bad. Go drink some prison wine, and you'll see what I'm talking about, folks.
No, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. It's not really the best vintage. I wish I had a sample that was from Let's Go to Prison. I made it in my toilet.
I'm sure some of those people like Al Capone that were in Alcatraz had some real nice wine.
Yeah. Precisely.
But no, I don't want to serve time to do that.
No. And that's the thing. Sarcasm is one of those things that immediately makes somebody the butt of a joke, which means you're putting negativity out to somebody. So is it really the best thing to do? Sure, it's witty, it's quippy, it's fast. We see it a lot, hey, who doesn't like Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers franchise for Endgame and all that?
I would never want to, like we were saying before, never want to make fun of anyone. Don't mind doing it to myself, but you develop a thick skin. I tell you, I mean, since I was in school, I was being made fun of with the last name I had. So
sure.
The comedy kind of helped me develop more of a thicker skin than myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we've definitely become a raw nerve as humanity as a whole. That is most definitely evident if you follow any kind of news and read any modicum of news. It's happening all over the world, not just here in America. And I'd like you to go into a little bit about what the way that empathy works with you being a psychic and a medium, the concept of being an empath. So that people can understand a little bit more, like what they're trying to look for when they're trying to feel empathy. Because I really feel that being an empath is something that we are all capable of.
Correct.
I think it's much more so than somebody that is a medium that can reach the other side. Things
we all
like
have
that.
gift.
But we all have that intuitive gift inside of us. Mm-hmm. We just have to learn to recognize it. Go into that a little bit for our audience tonight.
Okay, well, to begin with, to be empathic, you have to be willing to be open and sometimes accept the pain. Pain is not an easy thing for people to go through.
No.
Let's see. Can I give you a good example of what I'm referring to?
The loss of somebody close. That's the easiest thing I can think of is that utter wrenching heartbreak that can happen for years.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you a good story in that case. Like when my grandmother passed away,
mm-hmm.
or when anybody that we love, and I was with her when she died. I'm not when she died, before she died. And then the day she died, we came back. We went over to the funeral, and I remember touching her body, and I could feel her spirit was gone, right? Totally gone. And all of a sudden, I was overwhelmed. I wasn't taking any drugs or anything. I was just overwhelmed with emotions, and I felt my body pass out. And when I was under, my grandmother came to me and told me that she was home now, that she was in heaven, and that she was with God. And she told me that she's all right. And that made me feel so much better. I mean, I was laying on the couch in the funeral home. I was out. When I woke up, I told only a few people about my experience. A few of them understood, but I couldn't tell a lot because people were going to put me away for a 5150. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But having that empathic, that the closeness that we have to somebody, that connection that we feel for people. Like for an example, we both have a good mutual friend that lights himself on fire.
Yeah. Hey, Dr. Danger.
Okay. Dr. Danger, exactly. And when he has a bad day, I could just tune into him. Sometimes with everybody or somebody in our lives, no matter who they are, we have stronger connections than other. We can't explain why, but the connections are there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it literally goes down to a point of physics. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. The way in which two electrons, two particles, two energy fields can affect each other from a distance. And when you're close to somebody, the prime example is twins. You hear it a lot with twins. You remember the old Time Life series of books that they use? Yeah, Margaret had a twin sister,
I know exactly
Lisa.
what you mean.
Lisa was in a horrible car accident. Suddenly, miles away in Minnesota. Like her twin felt the car accident, like knew that something was wrong.
I get in the same way with people sometimes.
Yeah, and I was very much the same way. I'm not so much now because I decided to dull myself for years using bad things, doing bad things, and willingly said, I don't want this anymore. And now I'm to a point in life where I'm like, that was the stupidest decision in the world. My God, I wish I had that again. And I'm working on getting that karate reflex back. It really is like working a muscle. If you don't work out for a while, sure, you may still be toned, but it's going to be hard to work out.
It just comes back, though. Sometimes it comes back when you don't even know it's going to come back.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of the fact that I have a small child. I wanna be able to get them in tune with that from a young age, and if it's something that children are asking you questions about people, I'm here to tell you, don't be afraid to talk to them about it. They understand many more things that we do not, because they don't have the box built around their brain that we have built through our 20, 30, 40 years of life experience.
I'm very fortunate. I never built a box.
Good for you, Richard.
But I tell you, in order to do so, I kind of wish it was the other way in some respects. But I'm happy that I'm open all the way.
Yeah.
But I lost sense of what this earth is like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it really is the spirit is willing, the flesh is weak situation. It truly is. And to go through and think about that, and to know that through those dark times, through the times where I forfeited that gift willingly, the one thing that kept me going was the fact that I could always choose to be happy. And I remember at one point, my club owner, rest his soul, Russ Reisman, we were at our bar one time, and we were getting horrible kinds of complaints from, like, the owner of the property across the street who happened to own our building. Trying to shut our club down. And I kept turning it around. He's like, man, how can you just constantly turn something into a positive? He was like, consistently. Right. Like, I have no idea how you can't see that there is something horrible here. And I'm like, it's that I choose to see the good option. The good. Yeah. I choose to see that. And I have to choose to see that. Otherwise, I will personally go into a pit of despair. My brain will start focusing on negative, and then it'll see the next branch of the negative, and then it'll see where those two lead.
Deeper and deeper.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I have to think about the good, because the more I think about the good, the more it branches off like that. When
you start to, I'll tell you one thing that really put me in the perspective of seeing, of being positive in my life was my artwork, my photography.
I love your work, Richard. I love your work.
Thank you. But some of the comedy pictures I did and created, people say, that's impossible to do. I have one picture of a man that was hanging upside down in a room, right? Like a make-believe cave, and a woman with a like a fire. I don't know what you call them. Like a club of fire. Like she was going to Cook
Yeah,
'em. Now,
torch.
it was all comedy.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to say is, in order to create that picture, I had to be positive all the way through. And I tell you, I was living at the time in an office. I was struggling with food. I was struggling with everything. But my visions were staying alive.
Yeah.
Through God's help and through, I had people that came in every day to help me build a set. People that donated things. What I'm saying is the vision of what I had. It made it was a happy thing to have other people help me create it and have it come true.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just it. I think that's a lot of the reason that I started this show, was to bring things to other people, and that's why I prefaced at the beginning of the show talking about a loss of selflessness in society. Mm-hmm. We've gotten very self-involved, and very much what have you done for me lately? As well as which just predicates the fact that you're willing to stop helping people because they can't help you back, and that's just not a good mentality to have.
No.
And
but again, you don't want to be with people that are going to be taking advantage.
Well,
of people.
no, you gotta learn to recognize when, like, you're enabling somebody and not helping them, and you got to pull that plug. Like immediately, like a Band-Aid off.
Yeah, to discern the spirit, what they say. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not hard to see. But I had a very good friend of mine years ago, Michael Zapla, tell me that when you lend money to somebody, just give them money. They obviously need the money. You know, if they're using it for something bad, don't give it to them. But if they need money for rent, just give them money. You can tell them that you're lending it to them, but personally do not expect to see that money. Just let it go.
You're saying give it on the unconditional basis.
You know, like, let them be like, yeah, you know, I'll pay you back into it. Cool, man, no worries. But hold in your mind the fact that you are just giving them that money and that you will not see it. And be okay with that.
I understand what you're saying.
And be okay with that. Because otherwise, when they don't give it back to you, you're going to hold resentment.
Yeah.
You're going to hold something negative now about doing something good to help somebody. And what kind of sense does that make?
In no sense, exactly. Because people, I could tell you, the many times that I worked in Tijuana and the people that I helped out, that for an example, I worked at the different brothels down there, but one night I came back and there was this person that was laying on the cement that was bleeding. All his teeth were out, you know.
Oh, wow.
I knew this guy was supposed to be in the U.S., and we helped him get back to the border. I could have not get involved. I could have left him there. But I decided to, this is going to the extent.
Yeah.
And again, you got to discern the spirit, because sometimes it could be a setup, but in this case, no. Because I saw the guy get hit by a baseball bat and then go down, and then person took off.
Oh, man.
Whoever, I don't know, but I got him to the border and he got help.
Richard, geez, stop hanging out in Tijuana.
No.
Whew. I mean, what a beautiful thing that you were there to help somebody and that you put yourself in the situation to actually be harmed to help somebody. Obviously, there was a dude pretty close by with a baseball bat who was not afraid to use it.
Exactly. Yes.
And that's just it. You know, like, I remember years ago when my wife and I were dating, we were, at the time, full disclosure, everybody, I was, quote-unquote, on paper. It means I was on probation. I was not supposed to be leaving the Tri-County area. My wife lived in Austin. I lived in Katy. So frequently, I would hop the Greyhound in Katy at the gas station, drive into Austin for a weekend, and then she would drive me back Sunday morning for the church that I worked at running sound and AV. And on the way back one morning at like 4:30 a.m., crack of dawn, this truck about 5 or 6 car lengths in front of us starts dipping and swerving. And I'm like, back up a little bit, sweetheart. This person kind of looks like they're maybe just now leaving the after-hours establishment. So
back up.
we slow down a little bit, and right about that point, they jag off to the side of the road on the right and overcorrect and completely careen into the esplanade in between the two parts of the freeway. Like, this is full-on freeway, like 70 miles an hour freeway out in the middle of nowhere, like right out by Bastrop, just past it. And they start flipping end over end. I was like, stop the car right now. Now, like, I'm on probation. I'm not even supposed to be near there. I don't care. I have her stop the car as I'm calling 911 and start running out to the vehicle. A car behind us stops as well. As I get out to them, they leave the vehicle and start running off. One of them's holding his shoulder. You can see the bone and blood. Like, he's obviously got like a compound fracture in his collarbone.
Right.
And I'm trying to tell them in Spanish that help is on the way. One of the dudes goes back, grabs something from underneath the seat, and they go and hop in the car behind us and take off.
Oh, God.
So, like, I'm literally on the phone with 911 giving them the license plate of these people. And I'm like, I don't care what they grabbed out of the car or whatever. I'm worried about the dude with a compound fracture to his collarbone right now.
Yeah.
He needs immediate medical attention. Like, I don't care if they stole the car and they're muling 28 pounds of coke. I don't care. This dude needs medical help. And they ended up, like, while I was on the phone with the police came and they were taking my statement and taking Amy's statement. And in that time, I heard the radio call that they'd found them and the ambulance was on the way. And it was like, great.
Good.
But that was, my wife tells me all the time, one of the deciding moments for her. For us to have a continuing relationship, and that she would, if I asked, marry her. She was like, you had zero hesitation. Zero hesitation to stop the vehicle and risk yourself to go help somebody else.
Because you cared, yeah.
Because I cared.
But you also, like me, we both had the ability to discern the spirit. We didn't just go into it blindly. It was something that was leading us there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I told her. I was like, I worked with kids, like kids, like 4 to teenager for years. So it was one of those, like, you learn to build in a sense of, like, a spidey sense almost of like something bad is about to happen. Like, it's going down right now. Like, a kid is about to fall off the jungle gym.
Exactly. You get that premonition. Yes.
Yeah, and you just learn to trust that little tug behind your belly button. That's how I always taught the kids that I taught CCE to, Sunday school, basically.
Yes, I've taught that too. I know. CCD. Yes.
Beyond anything else, what you're feeling for is like somebody's pulling a little string behind your belly button. Like someone's pulling it like it's a balloon. And pay attention to that feeling. That's the first thing that you want to try to key into. Something's going to feel off. And pay attention. That off could be something good. That off could be something bad. That off could be something dangerous. That off could be something helpful. But you've got to learn to key in. And a lot of that has to do with being satisfied, with being happy with where you are. you can't really be in a place of angst. You can't really be in a place of being upset, being angry, holding a lot of hostility and resentment. You really do have to come to it at a point of calm and happiness.
Very much so, yeah. You got to be unconditionally free.
Yeah.
In spirit, yes.
So, how can people start beyond learning to feel that little tug behind their belly button? How can people start to think more positively? How can they learn to flip that switch, so to speak, on the conversation in their head?
Most of society kind of puts a stop on that. They don't allow us to express what our intuitions are saying. We're based on facts in life, but I'm hoping the world will change to that extent. That people could start by having another friend that could understand. Like for an example, the other day I was hanging around my mom, and one day I say to her, I felt something bad around me, and she didn't understand what I meant. I had a dream the other day. Okay, I had a bad dream, Chris. I felt I saw this vision in my head of these people that were not good. Okay.
All right.
I had no idea why I saw them, but I found out why on that day. So my mom went to go play poker over at Ocean's 11, and I took my walk with my camera. As I was walking up to this one bar to take pictures, all of a sudden there were 10 police cars coming up behind me. The guy in the bar got stabbed.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, so not only that, I was able to sense some type of energy, and I took pictures of this to prove that what I felt, there was some type of evidence behind it, that it's just not me. There was some other. So what I'm trying to say is a way that people could feel this is by talking to other people to begin with, and not being afraid of what they may think.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the start of it. Yeah.
Well, and I think more than talking to them, Richard, it's more listening.
Yes.
That's the most important thing about empathy is the pause. Like you said, it's that discernment of spirit. It's that moment of pause where you're literally taking a moment to experience the feelings of another person. You aren't feeling sorry for them.
No, you're just feeling. You're feeling the person.
Yeah, exactly. You're trying to experience their feeling, to take it in, to absorb it. One of the ways I used to teach it was to rewire yourself to feel what you were about to say. Imagine if somebody else was saying it to you. Would you like that? How would you take it?
Exactly. Yep. And when you said that, it just brought up when I taught when I taught catechism.
Mm-hmm.
I remembered an experience. I wanted the kids to feel what Jesus felt when he was being nailed to the cross. Not exactly. I'm not going to take the kids and put nails to their arms. But what I did is I brought in a cross.
Yeah.
I brought in a crucifix. I brought in some thorns.
Yeah.
I brought in some things that to kind of give them an idea of what he went through.
Sure.
A tiny idea, a tiny fraction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how, people could feel things through kinesthetic.
Yes.
They could begin to experience other people's whatever way they get the knowledge or the experiences to them. It takes a bit of practice to figure that out.
Yeah, it does. And it takes a bit of practice, like we were saying, to kind of hone this, and to understand it. You know, like I said, I used to be able to flex that muscle pretty regularly. It wasn't anything. It was like going to the gym, you know.
Exactly. Yes.
And when you go to the gym, it's just easier to go to the gym. And when you stop going to the gym for a while, it's hard to get back going to the gym.
Yeah,
and
you don't want to go. Exactly.
It's hard to not hurt when you go to the gym for a little while, even though you were used to working out. You're going to be in sore again in places that you weren't for a long time. That's how that works, and it's very much the same way with the brain and with the heart, and with how they're wired together. We are one entire organism that works in unity. It starts with the food that you eat, how you treat yourself, how you view yourself. You've got to learn to find one positive thing a day.
But you have to be free of any issues, like we were saying.
Yeah. But I mean, just finding the one. I mean, good Lord, if you got out of your car at work and saw a squirrel sitting there eating a nut on a tree limb, and you're like, wow, that's cool. Appreciate that. Hold that. Keep that. Make that your special moment for the day. And whatever happens, remember, you got to see that squirrel, and that was cool. Because unfortunately, and we talk about it a lot on this show, the brain is literally wired as a negative feedback machine. We learn more from negative input than we do from positive. And from negative reinforcement, you will learn more about fire is hot by touching fire than 2,000 people warning you not to touch fire. You will learn immediately not to touch fire, because your brain felt that pain going through synapses from the burn on your fingers, and it remembers that, and it imprints that. And when you see pain, when you see these things, and when you dwell on these things, the brain imprints that. And it's a memory machine. That's what it does, folks. I'm sorry. I mean, that's what it is. It's a memory factory. And when you're wired, that was a survival instinct. That's how we stayed alive for thousands of years before society happened. Was those remaining reptilian instincts of the amygdala.
But
the fight or flight mechanism.
We're talking beyond that, though. In the case of,
we're just talking about the fact that because the brain is wired to think negative. What am I looking for that's negative? What am I looking for that's negative? In order to survive, like that's genetically bred into us as a survival mechanism. So that when you touch fire once, you don't do it again. And it's hard to get past that, and it's hard to make positive things more powerful than that.
But if people could have that premonition before they touch that fire, that's what we're speaking about.
Exactly. And that comes from positive thinking. That comes from learning to change that switch before it turns on. Learning to be in touch with that little tug, and that at least alerts you that something's about to happen. Be alert. Whether it's positive or negative, good or bad, something's about to happen. Pay attention. And that's really the first thing that you have to learn to recognize.
Yes.
So, and trying to be positive And trying to keep that positivity is, I think, probably the issue that more people than not deal with, Richard.
Exactly. Yeah. They don't know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And
they don't know how to accept. What am I trying to say? Like when people totally lost it.
That's all right. That's all right. Because, I mean, I think what will probably cue it back for you is it's a hard reality when misery becomes the norm.
Yeah, because people are always used to the negative on the news more.
Yeah.
They draw faster to the negative than they do a positive.
Yeah.
And it could be a small positive, like you said, like that squirrel. It could be anything that makes them feel peaceful within.
Yeah. Yeah. And the key is you gotta be looking for that. You have to know beyond knowing that exists on the daily in the world around you. And that has to be something of absolute certainty with no doubt whatsoever. If you didn't see it today, you weren't paying attention. So when you wake up tomorrow, you need to pay attention more. And sometimes
you're talking about
looking for the positive thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Living in the moment. And sometimes that moment is just waking up and going, wow, I woke up today. Nice. You know.
Or the $5 you put in that slot machine and got $60 back.
Yeah, that happened to me today. And it's just, you got to learn to appreciate that. You got to learn to look for those moments. And you think of them as Kodak moments. Think of them as, like, if you remember the old Kodak disc days, you had 23 pictures, not 24. It was one less than a usual roll. Damn you, Kodak. Brilliant. But you looked for the moments to use that snapshot.
Right.
And now we're just inundating ourselves with every moment without trying to focus on the good ones. Because we have infinite film. We have infinite film and infinite storage. Mm-hmm. You can take pictures of everything.
Have to practice that every day.
Yeah.
To be gratitude for what they're thankful for.
Well, let's break that down for a second, Richard.
Okay.
And as a medium, as a psychic, what does it mean to be grateful?
Well, to be grateful in the sense, and again, anybody could be a medium. It's just a name. Anybody could be a psychic. It's just a name.
Sure.
But when you break it down, I'm just trying to say, thankful, even if it's small things, you learn to build it up. You learn to work on that positive side. Like, for an example, suppose your brother called you and he was doing well that day. Suppose you had an extra $20 coming in the mail or something like that. Just little things, or just suppose, I'm not talking about monetary or whatever it is that is good.
Surprises from the universe.
Yes. And I look at it, surprises from God.
Yeah.
From angels. I mean, my whole life.
I used to tell people that it was me cashing in space credits.
Exactly. You got it. Exactly.
This is for all the good work that I did for years. You know, like I try to do good things for people. And you have to like, I think the problem is, Richard, people live by definition.
Yes.
And when a prayer isn't answered by definition, they lose hope. And the prayer isn't always what you want. The best way you can pray, and this will go for, I think, pretty much any religion, is for you to understand what needs to be done.
Right. It's our needs that get
a prayer
answered,
for guidance.
not our wants.
Exactly, because your wants are your wants. It may not be necessarily be what the universe,
what we need,
what
yeah,
you
exactly.
need, what the universe knows you need. And I'm saying the universe, capital U here. You could say capital G, God. I don't care. Doesn't bother me. I'm going to say the universe, because I truly feel that we are energy. It's a point of physics. Much like I had to light a candle daily, every day. A very good medium friend of mine who passed away a few years ago, Rocky Paul Morneau, told me, let the light in. 5 minutes a day, light a candle.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, you are intending to put light into your day.
But that's the same way with projecting out good energy and prayer to visualize the people in your life every day and sending them help.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's one of the things that I love about communicating with you on the side as a friend is the love and light. The concept of love and light, that beautiful Christian agape that is spoken
very much
of.
So. Yeah, thank God for that.
That is different than romantic love. There's love and there's agape, people.
Exactly.
Love is romantic love. Agape is that brotherly love, that love for your common man, that empathy, that deep-rooted connection between everybody, that common ground. That's agape. And I really think, unfortunately, we have lost that somewhat. Be it some people would call it a loss of God.
Right.
I won't do that because not everybody has the same understanding of God.
Right.
So I'm not going to put that on anything, but it's definitely a loss of empathy, and that's a psychological term, and that's a spiritual term, empathy.
It's just a matter of opening up, and that's all it is. But
sure,
when you do that, your world is going to change.
Yeah.
And are you ready for that change? Yeah.
Exactly. And the main thing is you have to be willing to change. You have to want to change. No different than somebody trying to leave the horrible circle of a substance behind.
Right.
It's a willingness to change. You can have all the interventions you want to all day until that person has their moment where they're like, wow, really? Whoa. This has to stop. It's not going to stop because you can't put your will on the situation. You cannot enforce your will on the universe. It does not work that way.
No.
I'd love to say it does, but it doesn't, and that means that
only
you can't,
on things that are meant to be.
Yeah, you can force your will on people. See how that works out.
Yeah, not good.
Give it a shot. See how your relationships end up. See how your co-working relationships end up. Everything.
Not good.
Because it's a give and a take. It's very much physics. You have to have a loop return or a loop to ground for a circuit to work, whether it's AC or DC. That power has to terminate and go somewhere. And
yeah, in the spiritual sense,
yeah,
when you give up your own power, because we don't have any,
yeah,
and give out the love from within, that's what faith is all about.
Yeah, because really that's all that we have. That's all that we have that's ours is what we make. And I got that concept years ago studying Kabbalah, reading Kabbalah of the Golden Dawn, things like that, where it really goes into the old mystic Hebrew tradition of the creation of man, and the fact that because of all creation, we were the only creation that was breathed life into by God. We have that same creative spark, the same way that he spoke creation into being, we can speak things into being. And that's why words hurt. That's why words stab like a knife, and you carry those wounds for years and that resentment for years. Someone could come up and punch you in the face and give you a hug.
And words could hurt more,
two beers later, damn, that shit was funny, dude. Like, you got me, you know. But you say something about that dude's wife that's lascivious or something like that, and see how that relationship ends up. It's because you put something out there. Once you ring a bell, you can't unring it. You cannot unring the bell, folks. So once you put that negativity out there, once you wake up in the morning and go, God, this is going to be a crappy day, it's hard to unring that bell. You just set the foreground for having a bad day.
You gotta when you say that, then you gotta think of the things that you're thankful for. You gotta change it around.
Exactly.
It grows.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I go with the rule of threes. Whenever I do something like that, I try to think of three things. Three things I'm happy about or thankful for. You know, like, it just something to immediately drive home the fact of, no, I'm a happy individual. The situation sucks, but I'm happy.
Exactly. The situation can be a totally different ball game.
You can do, and
we're talking about within ourselves.
I had a therapist, Joe, years ago, explain it to me because of my anxiety. And I told him about that spiral of thought, you know, how it became a fractal branch going out of a decision tree, just boom, 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 boom. And he was like, wow, that must be torturous. I was like, yeah, it's like horrible. Like, when I was in my early 20s, it was almost debilitating. Like, I would miss days of school, literally sitting in my dorm room and just brooding over things that I had no power over, that I couldn't do anything about. But for some reason, they led me into, like, crazy realms of thought and decision-making and how I could stop that if it happened again. And it's like, stop that. Why? He's like, learn to see it as a train. You can be mad at the train if you want, but that's pretty useless. The train's going to pass, and then you'll go where you're going. But until then, there's a train there. And just realize there's a train. You could try to go forward and get run over by the train if you want. That'll suck.
It will change the day a little bit, yeah.
But it ain't going to change the fact that the train's still there.
No,
so
you
just
go with the flow of
acknowledge
energy.
the train and let it go by. You don't have to get on it. You don't have to know where it's going. You don't have to know where it's coming from. It's just there, and let it be there and let it go by. And I think that that's what we have to do with a lot of the things that we as a society are holding inside right now. And I'm not saying, like, let social justices go unkempt, folks. That's not what I'm trying to say.
No, we're just talking about spiritual freedom.
Well, talking about personal housekeeping. you know, and it really is. It's personal housekeeping. It's trying to get rid of the clutter. And if you get rid of the clutter, you'd be surprised how happy you might be with the home you have and with the space you have. Because that clutter is an utter physical representation of what's going on inside. Also from Joe, my therapist. Joe was great.
There is so much from the spiritual side too. So much from the side of hey, a lot of people don't even have a home to begin with. So there's people over here that live in the street. I see stabbings going on here.
Yeah,
right in back of my house.
Yeah, no, I drive through Austin, and there are camps everywhere now. And it's sad. It breaks my heart, and it hurts inside. It makes it fills me with empathy, Richard, when I see it, because so many people don't realize they're 3 steps removed from that. To go out and work with the homeless, the indigent, the people that need help like that. You hear so many stories. Excuse me. Sorry, got a little emotional there. You hear so many stories. You meet so many people. You see so many returning faces when you go out and you work in a soup kitchen. When you go out and you work at a homeless shelter or a battered woman's shelter. I used to do it for years with kids and youth groups and stuff like that. Go out and work them for service hours and stuff. And to see the same people coming in and to hear their stories. And some people it was a personal decision. Some people it was just forced on them.
Right.
And they got to such a point of depression that they were not able to help themselves.
Because that's where the negativity got to them. Yes.
Yeah, and it's just that's why I said it's heart-wrenching for me to see that, and there are things that we can do, people, to help this world. There are things that we can do, and it starts with ourselves. If you want to know what you can do to help the world around you, short of going to Darfur, it's hard to help the people in Darfur. But what you can do is help yourself. Because if you help yourself and if you're happy, the people around you see it. And happiness is infectious.
And you could always pray for those people.
Sure.
Which is always needed. That's the first thing.
Sure.
I'll tell you how many things I accomplished with prayer that was beyond my own strength.
Absolutely. And that's really more finding a spiritual center within yourself. Whether it be the universe, whether it be God with a capital G, gods with tiny G's, the tree next door, the neighbor's dog. Hey, if it's talking to you in that Son of Sam way, if it's talking to you in that Son of Sam way, don't listen to the dog. All right, but
for me, it's just God and His angels. I've been friends with them ever since I was little.
Yeah, and you've had numerous experiences. You go into that in your book, We Are So Loved. I remember the first episode you were on with us. We talked about your visions of hell.
Yes.
And your experiences with that side. And it's one of those that when you have that experience, it's hard for faith to be dulled. You know what I mean? It's hard.
Sure.
It's hard to tarnish faith. Like despite anything religious, it's hard to dull the spiritual. Once the toe has been dipped in that way.
It's funny though. Religion's very good. It's not bad at all. People make it bad, but there's a lot of good people within it, and there's bad too within everything.
I quote Father Andy Colzo, my spiritual director from the seminary years ago, Cistercian monk, great guy. Religion is a great thing, Chris, when taken in moderation.
That's within everything.
And that was a monk.
Yeah.
When taken in moderation, remember, the important thing is the spiritual. The important thing is how you take that message that you hear in church for an hour a day at the seminary and take that through the other 23 hours. That's the spiritual part, is the reverberation of that bell ringing, and the recognition of that bell being rung.
But don't you think if people aren't close to God and they can't have empathy?
I think, and that's, I think the definition God, myself, Richard, it's a dangerous one. Because,
why?
And I think I'm thinking of it politically. All right.
Yeah, don't think of it that
for
way.
Me,
though,
I know.
Again,
for me, it's God.
I mean,
for me, it's God.
You don't think of it that way.
I say the universe for most people because it will
say
include
that, and
everything.
I'll say God.
Yeah. And, I mean, not everybody's Christian, so
No, but
versions
I mean,
of God differ. As far as I'm concerned, as long as you're
exactly.
recognizing something greater than yourself, even it be the memes of society, folks. As long as you're recognizing that your life and the world are influenced by things outside of yourself, I'm all right with you.
We both have different view.
Yeah.
Different perspective.
We all have a different definition of God.
But for me, everything's God.
Sure.
For me,
exactly.
It's.
Same
I would
here.
die for him.
Yeah.
I would die for God.
I use the universe on this show so that people are not turned off. For me personally, yeah, it's God. Like, that's my experience because that's my experience and my definition. That's my experience and my definition is why.
Okay, but you don't want to say it because you don't want to get your. With me, I don't care. I'll tell people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just asking people to be open to that spiritual experience. Be open to something greater to yourself. Most people, unfortunately, whenever they hear God, they immediately start thinking Jesus. And
that's a good thing. I mean, look what he did for us.
Sure.
I mean, geez, somebody that was. Died on the cross for us.
I am personally with you. For some people, that's not necessarily the God that they ascribe to. But that's the most popular vernacular, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So, I'm trying to be politically correct. Come on, man!
I don't give a frick. I love Jesus Christ, and
I love
God,
the fact that you can still curse on this show, but you don't give a frig.
I don't give a frick. Yeah, I don't care what other people think. You gotta be yourself. You gotta be you. I gotta be me.
Yeah. How about you work on you and I'll work on me?
Sounds good.
And the world will be a whole lot better tomorrow. That's exactly what I'm trying to say, is that once you focus on yourself, and any therapist will tell you, folks, like, you're going to have a series of unhealthy relationships until you are happy with yourself as you. And until you learn to recognize that, and until you learn to love yourself, faults and all, it's going to be hard for you to recognize that in somebody else. And
you got to accept the people. The way I've been with people before that don't even believe in God. That you got to just have love for each other. That's the bottom line.
Exactly.
And you got to be able to communicate with each other, both feelings like me and you are doing.
Yeah. Precisely. And you got to be willing to have the debate with yourself, not with other people. That too often leads to the ego.
Though.
No. Yeah. No. We're told not to do that.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
absolutely
Yes.
told not to do that. We're told to argue with other people. My brother recently posted a great I think the Nerd Base posted it originally, and then he reposted it. But it was a picture of Buddha sitting there with all of his followers in front of him with a thought bubble that said, "Argue with people on Facebook."
Oh, geez.
like the key to enlightenment is arguing with people on Facebook.
Oh, no, I tell you, this
You know, and
Yeah.
like, oh my God, what a statement! What a statement! Oh, like it.
you don't want somebody knocking at your door, Chris, when you wake up in the morning with a gun to your head.
Yeah. My God, Richard, stop hanging out in Tijuana.
You know, I had one time I had a woman even kidnap me that I was with. And she did hold a gun to my head. She did take me to Vegas, where I did escape back home eventually.
My Lord. My Lord. I had a concept years ago. I'm not going to lie, I was in a pretty inebriated state. It was when my wife and I were dating. And I had this idea about a stage show called Donkey Show.
Right.
All right? About, you know, I mean, who hadn't gone south of the border and heard about the Donkey Show, you know? So these guys go to Tijuana for their bachelor party, right? And they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to take them to the Donkey Show. We're going to take them to the Donkey Show. And they proceed, like everybody does in Tijuana and everybody else that goes to Mexico, to just drink into oblivion. And they all remember going to the Donkey Show. But what they don't realize was that the Donkey Show was like an actual stage show with a donkey and a sombrero with like sparklers and people dancing. Like it was a totally innocent show. Everybody just turns it into this perverse thing after they've been horribly drunk.
I tell you, things I've seen not only in Tijuana but in Vegas, and the way, I mean, there's things I've seen people burn themselves alive. I've seen people do things. I don't know. I kind of like walked between heaven and hell my whole life.
Yeah.
So I would suggest, when we're talking about opening up, if people have the patience with other people, which they don't today.
No.
A lot of people don't have that much patience.
No, and it does take patience. It does.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that I lost, Richard, was the ability to stop and be still. I used, and it was, granted, before some of my anxiety started, actually.
Right.
I frequently meditated and would be able to just find silence and stop thinking. And I can barely do that anymore. It's literally gotten to the point at some points where I go to sleep thinking about something, and when I wake up, I continue the conversation where I left off.
Well, start doing it again, but only for a minute. Try it for a minute. 1 minute.
Yeah. Well, and that's
back up again.
That's what the 5 minutes a day with the candle is. Whenever I get a chance to do it, especially when I'm on the road, with intention, I wake up and give myself that 5 minutes with a lit candle before I leave the room.
Just don't light your ass on fire. That's all.
But like, I travel with tea light candles and a little tin, and I traveled the country, folks. I spent 42 weeks on the road last year.
Oh wow!
Like I travel a lot, and I make sure to have those things with me, because it is a conscious effort. It is a decision that you make when you wake up in the morning, whether or not you're going to have a good day. Despite anything that happens to you or that the world puts on you, you have the decision whether or not to let that stick to you. or whether or not
or
you're
even
going to
read good news. Read things that are good that are going on.
Well, the analogy I used to give folks, Richard, was being a duck in water.
Mm-hmm.
A duck is pretty awkward on land. But get a duck in water. It's its home. They move effortlessly, and even when they go down to eat and get the sustenance they need and have to go down and hold their breath and go through all that, they come up and they're not wet. The water rolls off of them. And that's what we have to try to do, is to let the water, let the bad things that happen to us that we try to dwell on all day, just be like water on a duck's back. Just let it roll off. It's going to be all right.
Or be bold and don't just fly.
Yeah.
Just be bold. Be different.
Yeah.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worry about you. Let the world worry about itself. You worry about you.
Well, no, I'm not saying that.
Well, no, I mean like psychologically.
Well, what I mean by that, by being bold, is be able to be yourself and be able to be strong within yourself, but at the same time, shine love to
don't worry about what people think.
Yeah, like for an example, the other day somebody got murdered. I wrote to the victim. I didn't have to. I mean, I wrote to the person that had their husband killed, and then there was somebody in jail that murdered somebody, and I wrote to him. I'm showing love to people.
Yeah. Yeah, precisely. And taking the time to do it.
Yeah.
Taking the time to do it. If you stop on the way to work and buy a bottle of water, buy another one. You don't necessarily have to give a homeless person money, but you can definitely give them food. You can give them water. Typically, whenever I travel, I try to use Amazon Prime now. No, like plug there. It's not like Amazon Audible. audibletrials.com/dudes. Get 30 days free. It's not a plug like that, folks. I like Amazon. They're great. They're an awesome company. And at least to fulfill the needs I have. And with Prime now, a lot of cities have 2-hour delivery. So while I'm in the airport, I'll hop on and order my snacks, order my iced tea, things like that. And it will be waiting for me at the concierge at the hotel when I show up to check in. It's great. Now, when I'm done with my trip, I frequently overorder. I'll put a little bit in my backpack for whatever, but I definitely can't bring all the iced tea with me, things like that. I'll go out and find a homeless person and just give it to them. Here you go.
There you go, yeah, yes.
Like, it's going to be stuff like chips, maybe some fruit snacks, maybe some bars, breakfast bars, stuff like that, But at the same time, what am I going to do with it? Leave it here where they're going to throw it away?
No, that's good that you do that. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I mean, you can pay it forward, as society is trying to say nowadays. You can think about that preemptively. You can go out and spend $6 all day long at your local Target, folks, and pick up a pallet of water and carry it in your back seat and give it to people because it's freaking hot outside. I don't know. I live in Texas. You live in California. Your 80 degrees is not our 80 degrees.
No. Muggy where you
Your
are.
80 degrees is heavy. Ours is like, what the hell, dude? What are you trying to grow, God? Whatever it is, we don't need it. But it's that conscious effort. Once again, it's that decision to want to do something. It's that decision to want to do it. It's that decision to be happy. It's that decision to help somebody else, to be selfless for a moment, and to relish in that selflessness.
It could even be done when you open a door for somebody.
Yeah, that's why I open doors for people, Richard. Mm-hmm. I used to tell the kids at the end of every year of teaching, didn't matter 7th grade, 11th grade, senior year, didn't matter. If everything I told you this year may have been a lie, go and find out. Go look it up. Go check it out. Go find out for yourself. Form your own opinion. And remember, it's up to you. It's up to you now. Nobody can tell you anything. You got to decide for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like Fight Club. You choose your level of involvement.
Exactly. Yes.
So, as we wrap this episode, Richard, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about this. I think it's something since Byron Berkhammer was on and came on and shared his message after his personal health issues. He had a heart attack and was like, no, I still want to do the episode. I have a message for your audience. And it was like, learn to relax, people. Learn to get away. Learn to appreciate those little moments. This is the revelation I had during my heart attack. And it's so much the message of this episode. Learn to look at something good. Learn to appreciate those little moments. Learn to relish them. When you do something good, it's okay to feel good about that.
Yes.
It's not okay to be prideful about it. Like I caught myself a few months ago where there was this moment that was like, yeah, God, dude, I'm awesome. And I was like, yo, man, that's what a human being's supposed to do, you jackhat. Like, like, where do you get off thinking that you're some, like, spiritual ninja doing that? Like, that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
You're a human being, right? You have a soul. I'm pretty sure that's what you're supposed to be doing for other people, is trying to take care of them and look out for them.
Yes.
Like, oh, my God, what a moment of haughtiness and utter pride. But there's a difference between having pride in what you do, having pride in those moments, and being prideful. And we need to learn to do things for other people and be happy that we did something for people.
Yes, it's by our actions, exactly.
Yeah. Richard, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We need to have you on more regularly about things like this, like I was saying, because of Byron, because of our conversation earlier before we started. I've really considered restarting Thinking Deeply with Dudes and Beer, to take these conversations to another level, to talk with you more frequently about this kind of stuff, to talk with priests, rabbis, deacons, people of all faiths, people of all creeds about, like, how to affect the world around us. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing as people, for people? I think it needs to be done. So I think it's probably pretty official, folks.
I'm glad you're here. Thank you.
Well, and thank you. Thank you for being a part of the network. We've loved having you on. I know you've built a decent little audience of listeners, things like that, since you've joined up. We've seen some decent numbers from you, so welcome to the network. We look forward to many more shows, many shows of you being on Dudes and Beer, talking about deep things like this, talking about mediumship and being a psychic and tied into the next realm. Richard, tell everybody where they can go to get their copy of We Are So Loved.
Okay, currently my website will be up for another 10 days that I have. Then I'm kind of revamping everything.
Okay.
But if you want to get the book for free for the next 10 days, at the psychic medium spasoffshow.com.
Okay, great. And tell you what, folks, I will actually make a link to that in the Dudes and Beer store. And it will be a link on the episode
That'd be
post
the best way to
itself.
go, yeah.
That way it's nice and easy. You can listen to the episode. You can click the link, download the book, all that kind of good stuff. So you can also check out the Richard Spasoff Show on the HC Universal Network at hcuniversalnetwork.com. You can check it out on Spreaker. That's our main distribution platform where we go to a lot of other places, as well as Breach TV for video stuff. So you can always go to Spreaker and go to HC Universal Network and find Richard's show. That has all the episodes in their entirety, and I mean he's prolific. That is all I can say. I cannot say for a while there, Richard. It was the Richard Spasoff app, because like you were putting out like 4-hour episodes every day, just bam, bam, bam.
I know. It's
and you're busy retooling things, getting it down to a more manageable schedule for you, which is great.
Getting my sanity back.
Look forward to a once a week release, things like that, folks. It's going to be great. He always has great guests. He started with, a wife of one of the Bradys. He's had stuntmen on. He's had
Don Rickles,
Tim
Conway.
Like, oh my God, you're like, yeah. And Tim Conway, God bless him, just passed. He just crossed over. So, yeah, remember, everybody, take time for yourselves, take time for each other, take time to appreciate things daily. Begin your day with appreciation. Begin your day with gratitude. Be thankful for something immediately. There is nothing more pertinent in the world. Would that be right, Richard?
Yes.
Well, once again, Richard, thank you so much for joining us while you're online, checking all that great stuff out, everybody. Please do make sure to stop on by dudesandbeer.com. That's where you can get all the episodes. That's where you can get the book, We Are So Loved by Richard Spasoff. That is also where you can get other great stuff, soon to be some premium content. Until then, everybody, check out the HC Universal Network. Love you guys. Until next time, take care of each other. And if you can't be good at it.
Download the official Dudes and Beer app for Android and iDevices, available on Google Play and iTunes markets. For more episodes, content, and information, visit us online at dudesandbeer.com. You can also find our episodes on Breach.tv, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast service. Dudes and Beer is a proud member of the HC Universal Network family of podcasts. For more about our sponsors and other podcasts on this network, visit hcuniversalnetwork.com. Thanks for listening, everybody, and until next time, drink responsibly.